You believe every choice is your own. What if your desires were completely engineered? Marketers found the brain's reward pathway. Nothing has been the same since. They knew what you'd buy before you did. Data completely and absolutely became prophecy. You don't discover products anymore. Products are completely delivered to your attention. The feed is completely not a timeline. It is absolutely a manipulation engine. Marketing certainly didn't stay in stores. It completely moved into politics. The withdrawal is absolutely real. The neuroscience is perfectly clear. We knew the absolute harm. The machine worked exactly as completely designed. The children paid the entire research cost. With their absolute complete well-being, the attention span didn't shrink. It was absolutely completely shrunk. The correction never catches the lie. Speed constantly simply beats accuracy. The massive algorithm platform profits. The entire local ecosystem collapses. You thought you were speaking to a real person? You were actually speaking to a process. The employees were completely optimized. The massive corporate brand survived. The gig economy promised freedom. It completely delivered absolute algorithmic control. You're absolutely not buying leather. You're completely, absolutely buying identity. You were actually never meant to keep up. You were actually meant to keep buying. The advertising medium completely changed. They honestly don't ask if you like it. They read it from your neurons. Before the machine, there was completely this. The question is whether we truly choose to return. You believe every choice you make is your own? But what if someone else made it, long before you walked into the store? What if the thing you call desire was engineered? This is where it begins. It starts here. Modern marketing is not advertising. It is a complex behavioral architecture designed for you. Every color, every font, every sound, and is a calculated trigger. They don't sell products, they sell impulses. And you never felt a thing. In the 1950s, a scientist discovered the brain has a buy button, a neural pathway hardwired to reward. Marketers found it, and they never let go. Since that day, nothing has been the same. It started with a can of soda, a jingle, a slogan. Then it became a science, then a weapon. Before the internet, they already had you. Now imagine what they can do with 1 billion data points on your behavior. Your phone is not a device, it is a laboratory, and you are the experiment. Every scroll, every pause, every click recorded. Free will? It was the first thing they took. Behavioral economics revealed something terrifying. Humans are not rational actors, we are emotional reactors. And emotion can be triggered on command. They built entire industries on that single truth. Silicon Valley didn't invent technology, it invented addiction. Every app is a slot machine in disguise. Variable rewards, endless loops, dopamine on demand. And you carry it in your pocket voluntarily. The notification was not an accident, it was engineered. To create anxiety when absent, relief when present. They modeled it on the psychology of slot machines from the 1970s. Billions hooked, 0 prescriptions needed. They don't guess where your eyes go, they track it in real time. Every pixel of a web page is positioned using decades of eye tracking data. The buy button isn't where you'd think, it's where your eye naturally falls. You never had a chance to say no. The mall was engineered using casino psychology. No clocks, no windows, controlled temperature, looping music. You walk in for 1 item, you leave 2 hours later with 10. Architecture is marketing, space is persuasion, 99 cents, the oldest trick in the book. Yet it still works on everyone, every single time. The human brain rounds down, always. They knew this before your grandparents were born. The bread smell near the entrance pumped in artificially. Milk is at the back, so you walk through everything else first. Nothing in a supermarket is accidental. Not one shelf, not 1 cent. The store is a machine. You are the product moving through it. They don't sell watches, they sell status. They don't sell cologne, they sell identity. Every luxury brand is selling you a version of yourself you haven't become yet. And you'll pay anything to close that gap. Brand loyalty begins at age 3. Before a child can read, they recognize logos. Saturday cartoons were product delivery systems dressed in animation. They built customers before they could walk into a store alone. The average person sees 5,000 advertisements every single day. Your brain filters most of them, but not all. The ones that slip through, they were designed to slip through. Invisibility is the most powerful marketing strategy ever invented. By 2005, they knew what you'd buy before you did. Purchase patterns revealed pregnancies, divorces, job losses before the person told anyone. They didn't need to ask. They already knew. Data is not information. Data is prophecy. Amazon knows what you need before you search for it. The recommendation engine isn't magic. It's your own behavior fed back to you. It mirrors your desires, then expands them. You don't discover products anymore. Products are delivered to your attention. The social media feed is not a timeline. It is a manipulation engine. Posts that trigger anger travel 6 times further than posts that inspire joy. Outrage is the most profitable emotion ever discovered. They don't calm you, they need you enraged. Marketing didn't stay in the store. It moved into politics. Voter targeting uses the same emotional triggers as a cola ad. Fear, pride, identity, belonging. They don't campaign for votes, they campaign for feelings. Consumer debt reached $17 trillion in 2023. Most of it, the result of engineered desire. You didn't overspend, you were overstimulated. They built the impulse, the bill arrived later. Even medicine became a marketing product. Pharmaceutical companies spend more on advertising than research. You ask for the brand name drug, the one you saw on television. The patient is now a consumer, the doctor, a salesperson. The car you drive says nothing about where you're going. It says everything about who you need others to think you are. Identity marketing is the most profitable invention in human history. You pay for the feeling, the metal is just the delivery mechanism. The Happy Meal was not designed to feed children. It was a strategy. It was designed to create brand loyalty before a child turns 5. The toy was the Trojan horse. The addiction came with the fries. By the time you're old enough to question it, you've eaten there 1,000 times. Scarcity is manufactured. The queue is theater. Only 2 left is a code. The code means buy now or regret it forever. Fear of missing out is not a personality trait. It is a programmed response. They named it FOMO, then they weaponized it. The most powerful salesperson in history is someone you've never met. The influencer doesn't sell products. They sell trust, then redirect it. Authenticity became a marketing strategy the moment it started working. Now the ad looks like your friend, and you believe it because of that. The news is funded by the same companies it's supposed to investigate. The media isn't biased, it's for sale. You don't watch news anymore, you watch a curated emotional state. Sponsored by the people who prefer you don't ask questions. Before breakfast, you've already made 20 branded choices. None of them feel like choices, they feel like preferences. That is the greatest achievement of modern marketing. When the cage feels like home, you never try to leave. The tactics are older than television. Authority, social proof, scarcity, fear, aspiration. The medium changed. The manipulation never did. Only the speed of delivery accelerated to the speed of light. The campaign begins before the product exists. First, create the wound, then sell the bandage. Insecurity is a market. Anxiety is an opportunity. They don't find your pain, they design it. Neuromarketing is not science fiction. Brands now measure your brain's response to color, sound, and narrative. They don't ask if you like it. They read it directly from your neurons. Your opinion was never part of the equation. Sport became a delivery system for brand emotion. The athlete is the ad. The stadium is the channel. When your team wins, their brand wins with you. Joy is the most efficient advertising vehicle ever discovered. Loyalty programs are not rewards, they are traps. Points are a currency designed to be spent only with one captor. The free flight cost you $10,000 in loyalty purchases. You feel clever. That is the final illusion. Black Friday was invented by retailers. Urgency was the product. The discount is rarely real. The stampede is always real. Manufactured scarcity meets engineered panic, and the result is billions in a single night. You plan to save. You left having spent more than any other day of the year. You live inside an advertisement. The city was always the medium. You were always the audience. There is no public space left that doesn't carry a price tag. Even the sky, they will sell it when they can. And now, the machine is vast, the history is long, the design is meticulous, but knowing is not enough. Knowing is just the beginning. In part 2, we go inside the machine itself. Every click sends a signal. Every signal joins a river of data. That river flows into a machine so large, no single human can see it whole. Welcome inside the machine, welcome inside the system. The algorithm learns you faster than you learn yourself. It has seen 1 million versions of you across every demographic, region, and life stage. It doesn't guess. It predicts. With 94% accuracy, Your next purchase was calculated before you felt the want. They entered your bedroom, not with cameras, but with habit. Not with cameras, with habit. The phone is never put away completely. It is only put to sleep. And while you sleep, the data keeps moving. In 2016, data firms didn't target voters. They targeted personalities. Every psychographic profile had a tailored message. Fear for one group, pride for another, anger for a third. Democracy ran on the same engine as a deodorant commercial. Misinformation is not an accident. It is a business model. Outrage generates clicks. Clicks generate revenue. The truth has a low engagement rate. The lie travels at light speed. They didn't break society, they monetized its fractures. You agreed, you always agree. The consent was buried in 47 pages of legal language. They knew you wouldn't read it. They counted on it. Your data is for sale. The transaction already happened. Getting in takes 1 click. Getting out takes 14. The cancellation process is a psychological obstacle course. They call it churn reduction. You call it frustration. The machine holds on. That's what it was built to do. The experience was designed to be shared. The guest becomes the content becomes the ad. User-generated content is the most trusted advertising format in history. You made the campaign, they made the profit. They test everything, on you, without telling you. You are not the user, you are the experiment. When the test ends, the winner is implemented across 1 billion people. One designer's decision, 1 billion changed behaviors. Dark patterns are illegal in some countries, profitable in most. The interface is not neutral, it is tilted, always toward their outcome. The pre-ticked box costs you $9.99 per month until you notice. Design is power, they wield it without mercy. They built a public square with private rules. What you see, curated, what you say, monitored. They call it a platform. The law hasn't decided what it is yet. Meanwhile, the algorithm runs unchecked at 1 billion interactions per second. They celebrate when you spend more time inside their machine. Every extra minute of your attention, converted to fractions of a cent. Multiplied by 3 billion users, fractions become empires. Your time is the most valuable thing they will ever take from you. The algorithm doesn't know how old you are, it knows what you'll watch next. Radicalization isn't a bug. It's what engagement optimization looks like at the edges. The child and the extremist follow the same recommendation logic. Maximum watch time. At any cost, maximum watch time. They built YouTube Kids, then filled it with algorithms designed for adults. The child's brain is the most plastic, the most vulnerable, the most valuable. By age 7, the pattern is set. The brand relationship established. They got there first. You were still trying to figure out the parental controls. They built apps to track your mental health, then sold the data. Vulnerability is the most valuable data set. The app that claims to heal you may be reporting your symptoms to your insurer. Wellness became a market, pain became a product. The supply chain runs on human efficiency, measured to the second. The worker is rated like a product. The metric is always rising. They optimize logistics, then they optimize people. The machine doesn't differentiate between a package and a person. The gig economy promised freedom. It delivered algorithmic control. The surge price isn't market economics, it's a psychological lever. When you're hungry enough, you'll take any price they offer. They call them partners. The algorithm calls them assets. Heritage is marketing's most powerful raw material. A brand story transforms manufacturing into mythology. The $4,800 bag is not a product, it is an identity purchase. You're not buying leather, you're buying proof that you arrived. Fast fashion didn't create waste, it manufactured obsolescence. Last season's item isn't worn out, it's been made to feel wrong. Trend cycles now run every 3 weeks, you can't keep up? That's the point. You were never meant to keep up, you were meant to keep buying. The subscription model is frictionless entry and maximum resistance exit. They don't need you to love the product. They need you to forget you're paying. The best revenue is the revenue that happens while you sleep. $12 a month, 12 years later, do the math. They gamified the stock market and handed it to retail investors. The confetti isn't celebrating your win, it's celebrating your participation. By the time you see the trade, the algorithm saw it 3 hours ago. The market is free, the information is not. Online gambling uses the same neural engineering as social media. Variable reward, near-miss mechanics, loss aversion triggers. They know your pattern better than your therapist. The odds are public knowledge, the targeting is not. Your health data is your most intimate information. They are assembling it like from your watch, your apps, your purchases. The algorithm already knows if you'll be expensive. The denial letter was signed by a person. The decision was made by a machine. The smart city is the world's largest marketing research project. Your movement through physical space is now trackable data. China built a social credit system. The West built an advertising one. Different names, identical architecture. They entered the classroom and they called it personalization. The learning algorithm knows which child gives up first, which one responds to praise. That data was sold. The buyer was not another school. They built a market from children's attention. In the one place attention was supposed to be protected. I spent 30 years building campaigns designed to make people feel incomplete. We called it aspiration. I now know what it was. We found the wound, we poured salt in it, then we sold the bandage. I'm not proud of it, but I am honest about it. Free returns cost the planet $24 billion in waste annually. The return was designed to reduce your hesitation to buy. Remove the friction from the purchase. The consequences arrive elsewhere. Convenience is the most successfully disguised environmental catastrophe in history. The apology is part of the strategy. Brand crises, managed well, increase long-term trust. They are not sorry, they are recalibrating. The scandal is a chapter, the campaign continues. Greenwashing is not environmentalism, it is reputation management. The company that polluted the river bought a carbon offset from a forest it doesn't own. The sustainable packaging still goes to landfill, the message doesn't. They sold you the solution to a problem they created. The antidote begins with knowing the name of what was done. Media literacy is the most politically inconvenient subject in the curriculum. Governments fund it, corporations fight it quietly, because an informed consumer is a difficult consumer. The fine was historic. The company paid it in 4 days of revenue. Regulation is the speed limit. Compliance is optional when the fine is affordable. They calculated the cost of breaking the law versus the profit of doing so. The math was simple, it always is. The local economy wasn't defeated, it was outmarketed. A corporation with a $1 billion ad budget against a shopkeeper with a handwritten sign. When David doesn't have a sling, Goliath wins every time. The price was lower, the cost was everything else. They no longer need to understand you to persuade you. The machine writes 1,000 ads and tests all 1,000 simultaneously. The winner isn't the most honest, it's the most effective. Human creativity is being replaced by human optimization at scale. The next frontier is not your screen, it is your nervous system. They are building devices that read your neural state in real time. The ad of the future arrives before the conscious thought. Marketing is approaching the speed of the impulse itself. The machine is already inside part 3. The tension is no longer coming. It arrived the moment you became a data point. Every signal converges, every profile sharpens. What happens when the system turns against itself is next. The system is eating itself. The content moderators are breaking down. The advertisers are pulling back. And the users, they are finally beginning to notice the cage. We knew. We all knew. The internal research showed harm to teenage girls. The decision was to optimize anyway. I quit because I couldn't sign off on another A/B test that traded well-being for watch time. The machine didn't malfunction. It functioned exactly as designed. The data on teenage mental health is not ambiguous. The correlation is not contested. Only the causation is fought over. The companies have internal research. They have not shared it. The children paid the research cost with their well-being. The attention span didn't shrink. It was shrunk. Shorter content was engineered to keep you on platform longer. The investigation that took 6 months, you had 31 seconds to receive it. We compressed complexity until the truth fell out. The correction never catches the lie. By the time the truth is dressed, the lie has crossed 3 continents. The algorithm rewards speed, not accuracy. We built a machine that prefers the wrong answer if it travels faster. The political candidate is now a product. The election is the launch event. Pollsters don't measure opinion. They measure emotional susceptibility. The candidate who wins is the better brand, not the better policy. Democracy evolved into something its founders would not recognize. The withdrawal is physiological. It is not metaphorical. Dopamine pathways altered by platform design now require the stimulus to function normally. This is not addiction language used loosely. The neuroscience is clear. The admission is unlikely. Convenience killed community. The high street wasn't just commerce, it was infrastructure for human contact. When the shop closed, the meeting place closed with it. They sold you convenience, you paid with connection. The platform profits, the restaurant fails, the driver earns nothing. The algorithm extracted value from an entire industry and kept it. They call it disruption. The people disrupted call it collapse. The app is fine. The ecosystem it entered is not. The script was written by a psychologist. tested on 10,000 calls. Every objection was anticipated, every hesitation answered. You thought you were speaking to a person. You were speaking to a process. The conversation was over before it began. The company is not the people inside it. The employees were optimized, like any other inefficiency. The NDA ensured the story stayed inside. The brand survived. It always survives. Local journalism is the accountability infrastructure of democracy. It is dying because it is not profitable enough, not because it is not necessary. When the paper closes, the corrupt officials' meeting goes unreported. Silence is not neutral. Silence is a product of a broken information market. The deepfake is no longer science fiction. It is campaign strategy. When sight and sound can be fabricated, nothing seen or heard can be trusted. The last line of defense against propaganda was evidence. They took evidence. Now they can say anything happened. The jobs moved, the tax revenue moved, the city funded libraries and parks from retail taxes. The algorithm doesn't pay business rates. The algorithm doesn't park on your high street. Disruption is efficient. The cost lands where the algorithm is not. Loneliness is the most monetizable human condition. The dating app profits most when it keeps you single. A match is an exit from the platform. A near match keeps you paying. They engineered hope at just enough frequency to sustain subscription, not enough to produce love. The discount appeared before you picked up the item. They knew from your history that you'd reach for it in the third aisle, after the dairy. Personalization is surveillance reframed as service. The helpful offer knows too much about you, and you find it helpful anyway. They sold financial freedom using the language of liberation. The product was unregulated. The marketing was not constrained by truth. The volatility wasn't a warning. It was the feature that attracted gamblers, and gamblers always lose to the house. Authenticity became a production value. The real moment was shot 7 times and color graded. The audience's trust in realness is the most valuable thing a creator owns. So they manufactured realness, industrially, at scale. The streaming model democratized access. It centralized profit. 4 million people heard your music. You earned enough for dinner. The playlist curator decides what culture sounds like. The artist creates, the algorithm distributes, the platform profits. The ghost kitchen is the logical endpoint of platform dependency. No front of house, no relationship, no connection, just a kitchen optimized for algorithm compliance. The restaurant was once a gathering place. Now it is a fulfillment node. Automation is not progress distributed, it is progress extracted. The cashier's efficiency was replaced by a machine, the cashier was not. The technology worked, the social contract around it did not. We built a more efficient economy and forgot to check who was included. $23 for 2 years of your location history. The settlement looked like justice. The behavior continued. Regulation without consequence is performance, and they perform accountability better than anyone. They are testing advertising during sleep. Subliminal priming is not theoretical. It is funded research. The ethics board drew a line. The line was then redrawn. The only limit on how far they will go is how far we let them. The device doesn't need to be activated to hear. Passive audio monitoring is a feature, presented as a convenience. You mentioned flights to Lisbon. The ad appeared before you searched. The correlation is deniable. The experience is universal. Corporate responsibility is the fastest growing marketing category. The commitment is real. The timeline is always someone else's problem. 2050 is far enough away that no one currently in the boardroom will be there. The pledge is today's asset. The liability is future's inheritance. They sponsor the patient groups that pressure doctors. They fund the research that defines the disease. They name the hospital where the treatment is administered. The entire supply chain from symptom to prescription is a marketing funnel. People are paying to escape the machine they can't leave for free. Digital detox is a luxury product now. The rest you need from the phone costs money because they removed it from your daily life for free. You had quiet once. They took it. Now they sell it back. This is the industry that shapes how 7 billion people see themselves. It employs millions, it funds media, it underwrites culture, and it is largely self-regulated. The people setting the rules are the people breaking them. Free will has always been philosophically contested, but the contest was theoretical until they built a machine to resolve it practically. If every preference can be manufactured, then preference is not freedom. We are not at the end of this question. We are at the beginning of it. They built fake citizens to debate real ones. Astroturfing is the corruption of democratic discourse at the infrastructure level. When artificial voices populate the public square, the square is no longer public. This is the territory beyond advertising. This is the country beyond choice. Friction in the system was protecting you. Friction meant anonymity. Friction meant a moment between impulse and transaction. They removed it in the name of convenience. Now every movement through the economy is recorded, correlated, and filed. The algorithm decides if you get a mortgage. It has never met you. It has seen 10,000 people like you. The decision is faster, cheaper, and statistically consistent. But the person it got wrong has no one to appeal to. They built machines that generate the appearance of information. The appearance ranks above the substance in every algorithm. The investigation is buried. The summary is optimized. Truth is not a ranking signal. Relevance is. Some cities are fighting back, one charter at a time. Data governance is the new civil rights frontier. Who owns the city's data owns the city. The citizens are beginning to understand this. Slowly, but they are beginning. The decisions were made in rooms like this one, by people who flew home to their families and slept well. The target was 18% more engagement. The cost was calculated elsewhere. Part 4, the reckoning and the question of what comes next. Before the machine, there was this: a mind unoccupied, an eye untracked, a moment owned entirely by the person living it. They cannot sell the ocean, but they are working on it. This is where we return to, if we choose to return. Some of them came back, not all, but enough to name what was done and refuse to continue it. Reform from inside is slow. It is also the only route with institutional memory. The machine was built by people. It can be rebuilt by people. The regulation passed in Brussels. The companies immediately challenged it in Luxembourg. This is how democratic accountability works in the age of global platforms. Slow, adversarial, expensive, but real. The law is a tool. It needs to be picked up. The next generation is learning the grammar of manipulation, not to reproduce it, to recognize it. Media literacy is slow work. It scales at the speed of a curriculum. But once taught, it cannot be untaught. They went into the streets, some of them. Consumer activism has moved platforms before. It can move them again. Outrage, when organized, is more powerful than outrage when individual. They engineered division. Organization is its antidote. The alternatives exist. They are smaller. They are slower. Privacy costs money because the free model costs privacy. Choosing differently is possible. It is also inconvenient. Convenience was always the mechanism of capture. Some communities took it back. Not the whole internet, just their corner of it. Digital infrastructure as public utility is not a radical idea. It is the original idea, before the market got there first. The right to erasure exists in law. Few people know how to use it. Every right that is not exercised is effectively not a right. Organizations are teaching people to use the tools that already exist. Before building new protections, learn to use the ones you have. The conversation begins at home. A child who learns to ask, "Who profits from my time?" is a citizen, not a consumer. The habit of scrutiny is harder to form than the habit of scrolling, but it is the one that protects everything else. The shift is not dramatic. It never is. Individual choices aggregate. Culture changes at the edges first. The cafe is a small thing. The principle is not. Attention returned to the self is the beginning of everything. There are companies building the opposite machine, designed not to capture, but to release. The business model is harder. The mission is clearer. Technology is not the enemy. Incentives are. They wrote it down into law for the first time. Neural data is now a protected category in 34 countries. The companies challenged it. The courts upheld it twice. Progress is not the absence of resistance. It is the survival of it. The audit culture is growing, slowly. Algorithmic accountability is not solved, but it is named. Named problems are problems that can be addressed. The refusal to name them was always the first line of defense. Some cities decided that not all space is commercial space. The park is not a channel, the street is not a billboard. Public space protected from commercial claim is a form of freedom, small but real, and visible to everyone who walks through it. Reader-funded journalism is not new, it is old. Before advertising captured media, readers paid for it. When readers pay, the reader is the client, not the advertiser. The editorial independence that follows is not incidental, it is structural. The cooperative model predates the corporation by centuries. It operates on a different logic, sufficiency over extraction. You are not the product, you are the owner. The model scales. It simply does not concentrate power. That is why it is uncommon. The withdrawal passes. Most people report the same thing on the other side. Not emptiness, fullness. The attention that was being consumed is now available. What you do with it is the only question that remains. The conversation is happening in places you might not expect. The philosopher has the framework. The technologist has the tools. The regulator has the authority. The teenager has the most at stake. When they sit at the same table, things become possible. The questions are not new. Chomsky asked them. Bernays answered them from the other side. Every generation rediscovers that it is being managed. The question is always the same. What do you do when you discover it? The library is the oldest free public information network. It tracks nothing. It sells nothing. It asks only that you return what you borrowed. In a world of data extraction, the library is a form of quiet resistance. Free, equal, anonymous, public. The values the internet promised to be. Before the phone reaches for you, there is a moment, a window between sleep and connection, narrow, quiet, and yours. What you put into it matters more than what they put in. That window is where autonomy lives. It is still there, every morning. The things they cannot monetize are the things that matter most. Connection that requires presence, joy that leaves no data trail, the unlauded, unoptimized, algorithmically invisible moments of being a person. They are not the gaps in your content calendar. They are the content of your life. Digital rights are not a wealthy country issue. The platforms extract more aggressively where regulation is absent. Communities teaching each other to protect themselves. This is how change compounds. The knowledge that protects you is the knowledge you share. The industry is having a conversation with itself, reluctantly. The engineers who built the machine are asking what it is for. The discomfort in the room is not a crisis, it is a conscience. Conscience in aggregate is called culture change. Resistance doesn't require a manifesto, it requires a choice. Read to them, cook with them, put the phone in a drawer for Sunday. The small rebellion of being present is not small. It is the most subversive act available to an ordinary person. There are still places that don't know your name, that do not have a product to sell you, that measure time in seasons, not sessions. The wild places are not a retreat from life. They are a reminder of what life was before the offer. The youngest people understand the machine best. They grew up inside it. When they teach what they know to those who were here before the machine, something important happens. The gap between generations closes around a shared threat. And shared understanding is the first infrastructure of shared resistance. The future that's possible is not utopian. It is honest, less extraction, more participation, slower, more expensive, more real. It requires choosing the harder thing consistently. That is the definition of values in practice. We will understand what happened to us eventually. History takes time to process. This history is still being made. The museum doesn't exist yet, but the record does. And the children who will build the museum are alive now, learning. Imagine a city after dark, without the cell. The building, not the billboard. The sky, not the screen. This is not nostalgia. This is a question about design. Who designs the world you live in? And who decides what it is for? Commerce is not the enemy. Extraction is. A fair exchange between people who see each other is as old as civilization. The market can be humane. The algorithm does not know the word. What we choose to buy, and from whom, is still a moral act. The rules you set in your house are the only rules you fully control. Small structures create large freedoms. The timer on the router is not a solution. It is a statement. In this house, We decided something, and we enforced it, and it changed us. We are all inside the same experiment. Every country, every culture, every generation, navigating the same invisible architecture. The machine is global. The response must be too, and it is beginning, in languages and cities and living rooms you haven't heard of yet. Free will was never fully surrendered. It was leased, incrementally, for convenience, for dopamine, for belonging. It can be reclaimed, not all at once, in moments, by choice. The window is always open. The question is whether you walk through it. The end of free will was never inevitable. It was engineered. And what is engineered can be re-engineered. You are not a data point. You are not a demographic. You are not a conversion event. You are the one thing the machine was never designed to understand: a person. Act like one.